Blood soaked through the boy's torn shirt as he collapsed against the iron gate at 3:12 a.m. 8 years old. His small arms clutched a tiny body, a girl maybe 6, her face deathly pale, a fresh surgical bandage wrapped around her side. "Please, don't let her die!" His scream shattered the Arizona night. "They're coming. They'll kill us both." When the bikers rushed out and lifted the girl's hospital gown, hardened men went silent. IV marks covered her arms. A hospital bracelet hung from her wrist from a facility that didn't exist. But the boy's next words turned their blood to ice. "She's not my sister. I found her on an operating table. There are 9 more children inside. They're harvesting them, piece by piece. Before we begin, subscribe to our channel and watch until the end. Comment your city below so we can see how far this story travels." The gate alarm screamed through the compound like a wounded animal. Stone was the first one up. 55 years old, president of the Hells Angels Phoenix chapter, and he hadn't slept through a full night in 3 years. Not since the leukemia took Emma. Not since he'd held his 9-year-old daughter's hand while she slipped away. He grabbed the baseball bat beside his bed and moved toward the security monitors. What he saw made him freeze. A kid. Small. Maybe 8 years old. Covered in blood, carrying something in his arms. Not something. Someone. A little girl. "Hawk." Stone's voice cut through the darkness. "Hawk, get up now." His vice president appeared within seconds, shirtless, a pistol already in his hand. Hawk didn't ask questions. He just moved to Stone's side and looked at the monitor. "What the hell?" "That's what I'm about to find out." Stone crossed the main room in 4 strides and threw open the front door. The desert air hit him like a furnace, even at 3 in the morning. Arizona didn't care about clocks. The boy looked up. His face was a mess of dirt blood and something worse. Terror. Pure animal terror. "Please." The word came out, broken, desperate. "Please don't let her die. They're coming. Please." And then his legs gave out. The girl tumbled from his arms. Stone lunged forward and caught her before she hit the ground. She weighed nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like holding a bundle of sticks wrapped in a hospital gown. "Hawk, get them inside, now." Hawk holstered his weapon and scooped up the unconscious boy. Blood dripped from somewhere on his torso, leaving a trail across the concrete. "Lock that gate," Stone barked to another member. "Kill the lights, all of them." Within seconds, the compound went dark. Inside, Stone laid the girl on the leather couch in the common room. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow, labored. She clutched a ragged teddy bear against her chest, like her life depended on it. And then he saw it. A fresh surgical bandage wrapped around her midsection. Professional. Clean. Recent. "She's burning up," Stone said, pressing his hand to her forehead. "Fever's gotta be 104. Hawk set the boy down nearby. "Kid's dehydrated. Look at his lips cracked straight through. How far do you think they traveled? Could be miles. Could be more." Stone's eyes stayed fixed on the girl. On that bandage. "What the hell happened to them?" The boy stirred. His eyes snapped open, and when he saw Stone standing over the girl, something changed in his face. He lunged. Stone caught the kid's wrist before his fist connected. "Easy. Easy. I'm not going to hurt her." "Get away from her. Kid, look around. You came to us. You asked us to protect her. That's what we're doing." The boy's eyes darted around the room. Leather furniture. Motorcycle parts on shelves. Men in cuts standing in doorways watching. Slowly, the fight drained out of him. Where am I? Hell's Angels Clubhouse, Phoenix Chapter. I'm Stone. I'm the president here. He released the kid's wrist. Now you want to tell me who's after you, and what happened to her? The boy looked at the girl. She was still unconscious, still clutching that bear. Her name's Grace, he whispered. She hasn't talked in 2 months, not since they started prepping her. Prepping her for what? The boy's jaw tightened. His hands were trembling. Surgery. Stone felt ice spread through his veins. What kind of surgery? The kind you don't wake up from. The boy's voice cracked. They were going to take her kidney, tonight. I grabbed her and ran. Hawk made a sound behind them. Stone held up his hand. What's your name, son? Danny. All right, Danny. How old are you? 8. And Grace, how old is she? 6, I think. She doesn't remember her birthday anymore. Stone closed his eyes. Just for a moment, just long enough to push down the rage that was building in his chest. Danny, I need you to tell me everything. Where did you come from? Who did this to her? Danny shook his head. His whole body was shaking now. They'll kill us if they find us. Who will? The doctors, the guards, He stopped, swallowed hard. There's a place, about 60 miles east. In the desert. It looks like a hospital, but it's not. It's where they keep us. Keep you for what? Danny looked at Grace. Really looked at her. Then he looked back at Stone. We're not patients. We're inventory. The room went dead silent. Hawk stepped forward. Kid, what exactly are you saying? Danny's hands steadied. Like talking about it somehow made it more manageable. I've been there 18 months, since I was 7. They grabbed me outside a bus station in Tucson, told me they were taking me to a doctor. He laughed. There was no humor in it. There are no doctors there, just butchers. Stone felt his hands curl into fists. How many kids? When I left 9, down in the medical wing, in beds, hooked up to machines. And Grace? She was scheduled for harvest tonight, a kidney. Someone paid for it. Someone important. Danny's voice cracked completely. I heard them talking. They said she was a perfect match. They said after the kidney they'd take more, until there was nothing left. Stone's vision went red at the edges. How did you get out? One of the guards got careless, left a door unlocked after he... Danny stopped, swallowed. After he finished his rounds, I grabbed Grace from the prep room. We've been running for 2 days. 2 days in this heat. We traveled at night, hid during the day, found water where we could. Stone looked at the little girl on the couch, 6 years old, prepped for organ harvesting, running through the desert with surgical wounds. How did you know to come here? Danny met his eyes. I didn't. I saw the bikes outside, saw the sign. My dad used to ride before he died. He told me bikers protect people who can't protect themselves. His voice wavered. I didn't have anywhere else to go. Stone thought about Emma, about holding her hand while she slipped away, about the years he'd spent drowning in grief, going through the motions, waiting for something that never came. And then this kid shows up at his door at 3 in the morning carrying a 6-year-old girl he'd saved from monsters. Danny. Yeah, you did the right thing, coming here. Danny's eyes filled with tears he was too exhausted to shed. There are still 9 kids in there, 9 more. I couldn't carry them all. I could only... His voice broke. I could only save 1. Stone crouched down to the boy's level. You listened to me. You saved her. That's more than most people would do. Most people would have just saved themselves. I couldn't leave her. She's like... Danny stopped himself. Like what? She's like my sister was, before she died. Stone felt something crack open in his chest. You lost a sister, 2 years ago. She was 5. Got sick. My mom couldn't afford the medicine. And your mom? Danny's face went blank. That terrible familiar blankness that Stone recognized all too well. She went looking for me, after I was taken. She never stopped looking. Where is she now? Dead. The word came out flat. Cancer. 6 months ago. I heard the guards talking about it. They thought it was funny. Stone had to stand up, had to walk away, had to press his forehead against the wall and breathe. Behind him, he heard Danny's voice, small and tired. Are you going to help us? Or are you going to turn us over? Stone turned around. I'm going to do a lot more than help you. What do you mean? I mean those 9 kids in that facility, they're coming home. Tonight. Danny stared at him. You don't know what you're dealing with. They have guards, guns. They have the sheriff on payroll. The sheriff, Carter, Thomas Carter, his brother runs the place. Stone exchanged a look with Hawk. Call Shadow, Stone said quietly. Tell him I need everything he can find. Now. Hawk pulled out his phone and stepped away. Grace stirred on the couch. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused, confused. She saw Stone's face looming over her and her entire body went rigid. Then she screamed. Not a normal scream. Not the cry of a child waking up scared. This was something else. Something primal. Something that had been building inside her for months. She screamed and screamed and screamed. And then just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Her mouth kept moving. Her chest kept heaving. But no sound came out. Danny was at her side instantly. Grace, Grace, it's me. It's Danny. You're safe. Look at me. She didn't hear him. Didn't see him. She was somewhere else. Somewhere dark and terrible. Stone had seen shell shock in soldiers. He'd seen trauma in ways most people couldn't imagine. But this was different. This little girl had retreated somewhere deep inside herself, somewhere the world couldn't reach her anymore. Hey. Stone's voice dropped to something gentle, something he'd almost forgotten he was capable of. Hey, sweetheart. You're safe. No one's going to hurt you here. Grace stared at him with eyes that had seen too much. Then she did something unexpected. She pointed at his chest, at the locket hanging around his neck. And she spoke. Her voice was rusty, unused, barely a whisper. Pretty. One word. After 2 months of silence. One word. Danny burst into tears. Stone walked forward slowly. He knelt down in front of Grace and carefully lifted the locket from around his neck. You want to see? She nodded. He opened it and showed her the photograph inside. His daughter. Emma. That's my little girl. She was about your age when this was taken. Where is she? 3 words. Her voice was getting stronger. She's in heaven now. She got sick, and the doctors couldn't make her better. Grace looked at the photograph for a long moment. Then she looked at Stone. I'm sorry. Stone couldn't speak. His throat had closed up entirely. She's pretty, Grace whispered. Like an angel. And Stone, who hadn't cried since Emma's funeral, felt tears streaming down his face. The front door burst open. A woman rushed in, silver hair medical bag in hand, eyes already scanning the room. Sarah, his ex-wife, the combat nurse he'd called. She took one look at the scene and her training kicked in. Everyone out except Stone. Now! The brothers filtered toward the back. Sarah knelt beside Grace, her movements calm and professional. What's her name? Grace. Grace, sweetheart. I'm Sarah. I'm a nurse. I'm going to check you over, okay? I'm not going to hurt you. Grace didn't respond, but she didn't scream either. She just watched with those ancient eyes. Sarah began her examination. Pulse temperature eyes. She moved to the bandage on Grace's side. I need to look at this. She carefully peeled back the surgical dressing and stopped. Stone. Her voice had changed. Harder. Colder. What is it? Come here. Stone moved to her side. What he saw made his stomach turn. A fresh surgical incision, professionally done, stitched closed. But the wound pattern was wrong. It wasn't a typical surgical scar. It was a preparation cut. They were mapping her, Sarah said quietly. Marking the extraction site. This incision would give them direct access to her kidney. How long ago? 24 hours, maybe less. She was hours away from... Sarah stopped herself. Couldn't finish. There's more. She moved to Grace's arms, lifted them carefully. IV marks, multiple insertion points. They've been drugging her, keeping her sedated. For how long? Weeks, maybe months. Sarah's hands were shaking now. Stone, this isn't trafficking. This is organized medical harvesting. Whoever's running this operation, they have surgical facilities, trained staff, established protocols. Danny spoke from the floor nearby. They have everything. It's like a real hospital. But the patients don't get better. They just disappear. Sarah turned to look at the boy. Really look at him. Take off your shirt. I'm fine. That wasn't a request. Danny hesitated, then pulled his blood-soaked shirt over his head. His torso told the same story. Scars, bruises, needle marks, ribs visible beneath skin stretched too tight. Jesus, Sarah breathed. I told you I'm fine. You're malnourished, dehydrated, and you have at least 2 infected cuts that need immediate attention. Just take care of Grace. Please. Sarah's eyes glistened. I'm going to take care of both of you. Stone's phone buzzed. Shadow. Talk to me. I found the facility, 62 miles east, off Highway 87. Properties registered to a shell company called Renewal Medical Research, Inc. Who owns it? That's where it gets interesting. The shell company traces back to a private healthcare corporation, and that corporation has one very prominent investor. Who? Shadow paused. Congressman Harold Pierce. He sits on the House Healthcare Committee. Stone felt the blood drain from his face. A congressman? It gets worse. The facility's medical director is listed as Victor Carter. Carter, like Sheriff Carter, his brother. Victor has a medical license, barely. Got it from some Caribbean school. He's been running this operation for at least 8 years. 8 years? How many kids? I'm still digging. But Stone, Shadow's voice dropped. The financials I'm seeing, they're moving tens of millions of dollars. This isn't local. This is international. Buyers from Europe, Asia, the Middle East. Rich people who need organs and don't want to wait for legal channels. Stone looked at Grace on the couch, at Danny sitting on the floor, at the scars on their bodies and the terror in their eyes. How do I get in? You don't, not without an army. The place is fortified. Armed guard security systems, the works. And if the sheriff's involved... The sheriff is involved. Danny confirmed it. Silence on the other end. Then you can't trust local law enforcement. Any of them. I know. Stone, what are you planning? Stone watched Sarah work on Grace. Watched Danny refuse to take his eyes off the little girl he'd carried through the desert. I'm planning to burn that place to the ground. Headlights swept across the front windows. Everyone froze. Hawk appeared in the doorway. "We've got company. Single vehicle. Moving slow." Stone moved to the window. A police cruiser sat idling at the gate. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out, 60 years old. Gray hair, sheriff's star on his chest. Thomas Carter. He smiled at the compound. It didn't reach his eyes. "Sheriff's here," Stone said quietly. Danny's face went white. "He found us. He found us already. Stay here. Stay with Grace. Don't make a sound." Stone walked to the front door, opened it, stepped outside. Carter stood at the gate, that smile still plastered on his face. "Evening. I'm looking for 2 runaways, a boy and a girl. Got reports they might have come this way." "Haven't seen any runaways." "You sure about that? The boy's dangerous. Mental problems. He kidnapped the girl from a medical facility. Her doctors are very concerned." "Doctors?" "That's right. The girl needs specialized treatment. Life-threatening condition. If she doesn't get back to the facility soon." Carter spread his hands. "Well, I'd hate for anything to happen to her." Stone kept his face neutral. "Like I said, haven't seen them." Carter's smile flickered. "Mind if I take a look around? Got a warrant. Didn't think I'd need one. Just a friendly visit. Come back with paper. Then we'll talk." And Carter stepped closer to the gate. His eyes were cold now. Calculating. "Listen to me carefully. I know they're here. I know you're hiding them. And I know you think you're doing the right thing." He paused. "You're not. You're interfering with a medical emergency. You're harboring a kidnapper. And you're putting yourself between me and something I will get back. No matter what it takes." Stone didn't blink. "Is that a threat, Sheriff?" "It's a promise." Carter turned and walked back to his cruiser. Before he got in, he looked over his shoulder. "I'll be seeing you, Stone. Real soon." The cruiser pulled away, disappearing into the darkness. Hawk appeared at Stone's side. "What do we do?" Stone watched the taillights fade. "He knows they're here, which means the people at that facility know too. So those 9 kids just became liabilities." Stone turned toward the clubhouse. "They'll kill them to cover their tracks." Understanding dawned on Hawk's face. Tonight, if we don't stop them." Stone walked back inside. Danny was standing by the window, his face white with terror. "That was him, wasn't it, the sheriff?" "Yeah. He's going to come back. He's going to take Grace. He's going to—" "No!" Stone's voice cut through the boy's panic. "He's not. How do you know? How can you possibly—" "Because I'm going to stop him." Danny stared at him. "I'm going to tear his operation apart. I'm going to rescue those 9 kids, and I'm going to make sure Thomas Carter and his brother never hurt another child again." "You can't. You don't understand. They have guns. They have money. They don't have what I have." "What's that?" Stone looked at Grace on the couch, at the locket in his hand, at his daughter's face frozen forever in that tiny photograph. "A reason to fight." He turned to Hawk. "Call church. Emergency meeting. Every member. 1 hour." "What do I tell them?" Stone's face had changed. The weariness was gone. In its place was something cold, something dangerous, something that men had learned to fear. "Tell them we're going to war." The chapel filled within the hour. 15 men crowded into a room designed for half that many. The air was thick with tension, anger, and something else, something that felt like purpose. One stood at the head of the table. 3 hours ago, 2 children showed up at our gate. A boy, 8 years old. A girl, 6. They escaped from a facility 60 miles east of here. He paused. A facility where children are being harvested for organs. The room erupted. What the hell? You're kidding me. Harvested like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Stone's voice cut through the noise. What I'm about to tell you is going to make you sick. It's going to make you angry. It's going to make you want to ride out there right now and burn that place to the ground. He waited until the room went silent. I need you to listen to everything before you react. He told them everything. The surgical wounds on Grace's body, the preparation cuts for kidney extraction, the 9 children still trapped inside, the sheriff's involvement, the congressman's money. By the end, no one was speaking. Mac was the first to break the silence. His voice shook. How many kids did you say? 9 that Danny knows of. 9 children in medical beds hooked up to machines waiting to be cut open. Mac stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. Then what are we sitting here for? Let's go. Sit down. Stone. I said sit down. Mac's jaw clenched, but he righted his chair and sat. Hawk spoke next. Calm. Measured. The voice of a man who'd learned that controlled anger was the most dangerous kind. What's the play? First, we get more information. We need to know exactly where this facility is, how many people are running it, what kind of security they have. We go in blind, we get killed, and those kids never get rescued. An older member named Doc raised his hand. What about the feds, FBI? If there's really a harvesting operation out there? The kid says they've got the sheriff on payroll, and Shadow just confirmed a sitting congressman is their biggest investor. Stone let that sink in. Who do you think the FBI is going to believe, a motorcycle club or a United States congressman? Doc nodded slowly. So we handle it ourselves. We investigate first, then we decide. Hawk stood up. I'll call Shadow again. If anyone can dig deeper, it's him. Do it. Tell him I need everything he can find by morning. Floor plans, guard rotations, everything. What about the kids? Mac asked. Danny and Grace. Where do they stay? Here, with us. Sarah's agreed to watch them around the clock until they're stable enough to figure out something permanent. And if the people from that facility come looking... Stone's expression didn't change. Then they'll find out exactly what happens when you threaten children under our protection. The meeting lasted another hour. Plans were sketched. Assignments given. By the time the first light of dawn crept over the Arizona desert, the hellsangels had the beginning of a strategy. But Stone knew it wasn't going to be simple. It never was. He found Danny in the common room, sitting on the floor next to the couch where Grace was sleeping. The boy's eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted, but he refused to close them. You should sleep. I will later. That's what you said 2 hours ago. Danny shrugged. Stone lowered himself to the floor, groaning as his knees protested. He wasn't as young as he used to be. Can I ask you something? Danny nodded. Grace, you said she was there when you arrived. 18 months ago. Yeah. Do you know where she came from, who her parents are? Danny was quiet for a long moment. She used to talk about them. Before she stopped talking completely, she said her mom had brown hair. Her dad used to sing to her before bed. She said they were going to a doctor's appointment and then a man grabbed her. Grabbed her from where? A parking lot, a hospital parking lot. She said she was waiting in the car. Her mom went inside to get something. When she came back... Danny's voice cracked. Grace was gone. Stone felt like he'd been punched. Her parents didn't abandon her. No, someone took her. She was 4 years old sitting in a car and someone just took her. Do you know where? What city? She couldn't remember. She was too young. All she remembered was the man had a white van, and he gave her candy that made her sleep. White van. Candy. A 4-year-old girl stolen from a hospital parking lot. Somewhere out there, Grace's parents were still looking for her. Still hoping. Still waiting. "We're going to find them," Stone said. "Her parents. We're going to find them and bring them their daughter back." Danny looked at him. "And if they've moved on, it's been 2 years. What if they've given up? Have you ever met a parent who's lost a child?" Danny shook his head. "They never give up. They never move on. They spend every day of their lives wondering what happened, praying for a miracle." Stone's voice was rough. "Trust me, I know." Danny studied his face. "Your daughter, Emma." "Yeah." "What happened to her?" "Leukemia. She fought it for 2 years. She was 9 when she—" Stone stopped, swallowed. "She was 9. "I'm sorry. So am I. Every single day." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Danny spoke again. "The guards at the facility. They used to talk about her. About Grace." "What did they say?" "They said she was special. A perfect universal donor. Her blood type, her tissue markers, everything lined up. They could sell her organs to almost anyone." Stone's hands curled into fists. "They said she was worth more than all the other kids combined. That's why they kept her so long. They were waiting for the highest bidder." "And they found one?" "Yeah." Danny's voice dropped. "A congressman. They said he needed a kidney for his grandson. He paid $500,000. Stone went very still. "Pierce. Congressman Pierce. I don't know his name. I just know what I heard. $500,000 for a 6-year-old's kidney. They were going to take more than that. After the kidney healed, they were going to take her liver, then her bone marrow, then—" Danny stopped. He couldn't continue. Stone stood up abruptly. He walked to the window and pressed his forehead against the glass. "I've done a lot of things in my life I'm not proud of," he said quietly. "Things that would send me to prison if anyone ever found out. But I've always lived by a code. Protect the innocent. Punish the guilty. Never, ever harm a child." He turned around. Someone violated that code in the worst possible way, and they're still out there, still operating, still hurting kids. Danny looked at him. "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to stop them." "How?" Stone's phone buzzed. Shadow. "Talk to me." "I've got the floor plans. The facility has 2 levels above ground and 1 below. The medical wing is in the basement. That's where they're keeping the children. Security. 6 guards on rotation. 2 at the main entrance, 2 patrolling the perimeter, 2 stationed outside the medical wing. They change shifts every 6 hours. Weapons, rifles, handguns. The perimeter guards carry shotguns." "What about the staff?" "I count 4 medical personnel. 2 nurses, 1 anesthesiologist, and Victor Carter himself. He performs the surgeries." "Victor Carter? The sheriff's brother." "The same. And Stone, there's something else." "What?" "I hacked into their scheduling system. There's a procedure scheduled for tonight, 10 p.m. A kidney extraction." Stone's blood ran cold. "Who?" "A 7-year-old boy named Tommy. He's been there for 3 months. Tonight he becomes a product." Stone checked his watch. 6:47 a.m. Less than 16 hours. "We have to move today." "That's suicide. You don't have enough intel, you don't have a solid plan." "I don't have a choice. If we wait, that boy dies. Simple as that." Silence on the other end. "I'm sending you everything I have. Guard positions, security camera locations, the layout of the basement. But Stone, this place is fortified. You're going to need more than 15 guys on motorcycles." "Then I'll find more." He hung up. Danny was staring at him. "Tommy, I know him." "You do? He's 7, red hair. He cries every night for his mom." Danny's voice broke. I used to hold his hand through the bars. I used to tell him someone would come, someone would save us. Stone crouched down in front of the boy. Someone did come. You. You got out. You brought Grace here. And because of that, Tommy is going to live. You don't know that. I do. Because I'm going to make sure of it. Danny's lip trembled. There's something I haven't told you. What? The facility. It's not just for organs. Stone's stomach dropped. What do you mean? Some kids, they don't harvest them. They sell them. Whole. The room seemed to tilt. Sell them to who? I don't know. Men with money. Men who want. Danny stopped. His whole body was shaking. I don't know what they want, but the kids who go with them, they never come back. Stone had to stand up, had to walk away, had to breathe. How many kids have been sold? I don't know. Dozens, maybe more. Over the years, Danny's voice cracked completely. They've been doing this for a long time. Since before I got there. Since before anyone remembers. Stone thought about Grace, about her ancient eyes, about the 2 years she'd spent in that hell. We end this tonight. You keep saying that, but you don't understand. The people who run this, they're connected. They have money power. They'll never let you shut them down. Then I'll burn them down instead. The door opened. Sarah walked in, her face pale. Stone, we need to talk. What is it? I've been going through Grace's medical history. The marks on her body, the surgical scars. And Sarah's voice shook. She's had 3 prior procedures, a biopsy 6 months ago, a blood draw every week since she arrived. And Sarah stopped. And what? Someone removed one of her ovaries. 8 months ago. The world stopped. She's 6 years old. I know. She's 6 years old and they took her. I know. Sarah's eyes were wet. I know. Stone couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what he was hearing. A 6-year-old girl, an ovary, sold to someone, for something. He walked outside. The sun was fully up now, blazing across the desert. He walked until he couldn't see the clubhouse anymore. Until he was alone with the sand and the sky and the rage that was consuming him from the inside out. Then he dropped to his knees, and he screamed. He screamed until his throat was raw, until his voice gave out, until there was nothing left but the silence and the heat and the terrible knowledge of what human beings were capable of doing to children. When he finally stood up, something had changed. The grief was still there. The rage was still there. But now there was something else, purpose. He walked back to the clubhouse. The brothers were gathered outside, waiting. They'd heard the scream. They knew something had broken inside him. But when they saw his face, they understood. He wasn't broken. He was forged. Church, Stone said. Now, full chapter, no exceptions. They filed into the chapel in silence. Stone stood at the head of the table. I just learned that the people running that facility don't just harvest organs. They sell children, whole children, to people who... He stopped. Breathed. I'm not going to finish that sentence. You can imagine for yourselves what kind of monsters buy children. No one spoke. Grace is 6 years old. She's been there for 2 years. In that time, they've taken parts of her body and sold them to the highest bidder. They were going to take her kidney tonight, then her liver, then whatever else someone would pay for. Stone looked at each man in turn. I'm going to that facility tonight. I'm going to rescue those 9 children. I'm going to shut that operation down permanently. And I'm going to make sure everyone involved pays for what they've done." He paused. "This isn't club business. This is personal. Anyone who wants to walk away, no judgment. But I'm going, and I'm not coming back until it's done." The silence stretched. Then Mac stood up. "I'm in." Hawk followed. In. One by one, every man in the room rose to his feet. 15 brothers. 15 men willing to die for children they'd never met. Stone felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. "All right," he said. "Here's the plan." The next 10 hours were a blur of preparation. Shadow fed them information in real time. Floor plans committed to memory. Guard rotations studied and restudied. Entry points identified. Exit strategies mapped. Sarah worked on Grace and Danny around the clock. Fluids, antibiotics, rest. Grace was improving. Her fever had broken. She was eating small amounts. She was even talking more, though never about the facility. Never about what had happened to her. Danny refused to sleep. Every time someone suggested he rest, his eyes would dart to Grace, and he'd shake his head. "I can't. Not until I know she's safe. She's safe here. Nowhere is safe. Not from them." At 4 p.m., Stone found Danny sitting by the window again. "I need to ask you something." And Danny looked up. "The facility? The basement? Where exactly are the children kept?" "There's a hallway. On the left side. 10 rooms. Each room has 2 beds. The kids are strapped down, hooked up to machines." "What kind of machines?" "I don't know. Medical stuff, monitors, IV bags. Some of them are sedated all the time. Some of them are awake." "Which ones are awake?" "The ones scheduled for procedures. They keep them awake until the last minute, until they wheel them into..." Danny stopped, swallowed. "Until they wheel them into surgery." "Tommy, the boy scheduled for tonight. Is he awake?" "He will be. They're probably prepping him right now." Stone checked his watch. 4:07 p.m. Less than 6 hours until Tommy lost his kidney. "Danny, I need you to tell me everything. Every detail about that basement. Every door, every corner, every hiding spot. Lives are going to depend on it." Danny nodded slowly. "There's something you should know first." "What? The kids who've been there the longest. The ones who've survived multiple procedures. They're not like regular kids anymore." "What do you mean?" "They don't trust anyone. They don't believe in rescue. They've been told so many times that someone would save them, and no one ever came." Danny's eyes were haunted. "When you show up tonight, they might not come with you. They might think it's a trap." Stone thought about that. About children so traumatized they couldn't recognize salvation. "Then we'll carry them out. Even if they fight you, even if they fight us." Danny nodded. Something shifted in his face. "I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not. I know that facility better than anyone. I know where the guards stand. I know which doors are locked and which ones aren't. I know where they keep the kids." "You're 8 years old." "I survived 18 months in that hellhole. I got Grace out when no one else could." His voice hardened. "I'm not sitting here while you try to save those kids blind." Stone stared at the boy, at the determination in his eyes, at the set of his jaw. "You stay in the vehicle. You do not get out until I personally tell you it's clear. Understood?" Danny nodded. "Understood." Sarah appeared in the doorway. "Stone, Grace is asking for you." He found her on the couch, sitting up for the first time since she'd arrived. Her teddy bear was still clutched against her chest, but her eyes were clearer now. More present. "Hey, sweetheart, how are you feeling?" Better. Her voice was still small, but it was there. Danny said you're going to help the other kids. That's right? The ones in the beds. Yeah. Grace was quiet for a moment. Tommy cries at night. I could hear him through the walls. He cries for his mommy. Stone felt his throat tighten. After tonight, he won't have to cry anymore. Grace looked at him with those ancient eyes. Promise. Stone knelt down beside her. I promise. She reached out and touched the locket around his neck. The one with Emma's picture. She's watching, Grace whispered. Your little girl. She wants you to save them. Stone couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. I can feel her, Grace said. She's not scared anymore. She's proud of you. Tears streamed down Stone's face. He didn't try to hide them. How do you know that? Grace smiled. It was the first real smile he'd seen from her. Because I'm not scared anymore either. At 8 p.m., the brothers gathered. 15 men in leather cuts. Armed. Ready. Waiting. Stone stood in front of them. In 2 hours, a 7-year-old boy is going to be cut open and his kidney is going to be sold to a congressman's grandson, unless we stop it. He paused. I'm not going to lie to you. This is dangerous. We're going against armed guards, a corrupt sheriff, and a network that has operated for years without anyone stopping them. Some of us might not come back. He looked at each man. But if we don't go, 9 children die. Tonight, tomorrow, the next day. One by one until there's nothing left. Mac stepped forward. So let's stop talking and start riding. Stone nodded. Gear up. We leave in 30 minutes. As the brothers dispersed to prepare, Danny appeared at Stone's elbow. I'm ready. You're staying in the truck. No arguments. I know. Danny hesitated. Thank you. For believing me, for fighting for us. Stone put his hand on the boy's shoulder. Thank you for being brave enough to knock on my door. At 8:47 p.m., they rode out. 15 motorcycles roared into the Arizona night, heading east toward the desert, toward the facility, toward the children who had been waiting for rescue for far too long. Danny rode behind Mac, his arms wrapped tight around the older man's waist. The wind whipped his face. The stars blurred overhead. For the first time in 18 months, he was going back to the place that had stolen his childhood. But this time, he wasn't running away. This time, he was coming to burn it down. They killed their engines a quarter-mile from the facility. The silence was deafening after the roar of 15 bikes. Stone gathered them close, his voice barely above a whisper. Hawk, take Doc and 3 others. Circle around to the north side. Shadow identified a service entrance near the generator room. You get in, you get to that basement. You get those kids out. What about the guards? Leave them to me. Stone, I said leave them to me. Hawk nodded slowly. He knew that tone. Mac, you stay with Danny. Keep him in the truck like we discussed. If anything goes wrong, you get him out of here. Nothing's going to go wrong. If it does, promise me. Mac's jaw tightened. I promise. The rest of you with me. We're going through the front. One of the younger members spoke up. Through it, Stone's face was carved from stone. They're expecting trouble. Let's not disappoint them. They moved through the darkness like ghosts. Years of riding together had made them more than brothers. They could communicate without words, anticipate each other's movements, function as a single unit. The facility came into view. A low concrete building surrounded by chain-link fence topped with razor wire. Security lights illuminated the perimeter. 2 guards at the main gate, just like Shadow said. They were smoking, talking, not paying attention. Stone held up his hand. Everyone stopped. He could hear the guards' conversation now. Something about a football game. One of them laughed. Normal men having a normal conversation while children were being cut apart behind them. Stone's blood turned to ice. He moved forward alone, silent, invisible. 20 years of Marine training came back like muscle memory. The first guard never saw him coming. One hand over his mouth, the other on a pressure point. Down in seconds. The second guard turned at the soft thump. His eyes went wide. His hand reached for his rifle. Too slow. Stone was on him before he could make a sound. 2 guards down. Gate clear. He waved his men forward. They zip-tied the unconscious guards and moved toward the main building. Lights were on inside. Movement behind the windows. Voices. "How many?" Hawk whispered. 3 inside, maybe 4. "The kids. Basement. You need to move now." Hawk nodded and peeled off with his team, disappearing into the shadows around the north side. Stone approached the main entrance. 10 feet away. 8. 6. He kicked the door in. 3 men inside scrambled for weapons. Stone was faster. 2 shots. 2 men down. Non-lethal. Shoulders. They wouldn't be using their arms anytime soon. The third man dove behind a desk. "Who the hell are you? Where's Victor Carter? Go to hell." Stone walked forward, stepped on the wounded man's shoulder and pressed down. The scream that followed was inhuman. "I'll ask one more time. Where is Victor Carter?" "Basement. He's in the basement surgery room." "Please, please, stop." Stone released the pressure. "Secure these 3. Make sure they don't go anywhere." He moved toward the stairwell at the back of the building. The basement door was reinforced steel, locked from the inside. Stone pulled out a small explosive charge from his pack. 3 seconds later, the door was gone. The smell hit him first. Antiseptic, blood, fear, the smell of a slaughterhouse dressed up as a hospital. Then he heard them, whimpering, crying, small voices begging in the darkness. "It's okay," Stone called out, his voice cracking. "We're here to help. No one's going to hurt you anymore." He found the light switch. Fluorescent bulbs flickered to life, and Stone saw them. Beds. Hospital beds lined up against the walls, 9 of them. And in each bed, a child. Strapped down, hooked up to machines. IVs in their arms, monitors beeping. The oldest, maybe 12. The youngest couldn't have been more than 4. One of his men made a sound behind him, something between a sob and a scream. "Get them out! Get them all out! Now!" They moved quickly, disconnecting monitors, removing IVs, cutting restraints. The children were too weak to walk, too traumatized to understand what was happening. A little girl grabbed Stone's arm. "Is this real?" Her voice was barely audible. "Are you really here?" "I'm really here, sweetheart. You're safe now." They always say that. Before they take us to the room, they always say we're safe. Stone's heart shattered. "I'm not them, I promise you. I'm taking you home." She stared at him with hollow eyes. Eyes that had stopped believing in promises a long time ago. "Where's Tommy?" Stone asked. "Red hair, 7 years old. Where is he?" The girl pointed toward a door at the end of the hallway. "They took him an hour ago, to the surgery room." Stone ran. He burst through the door and found himself in a fully equipped operating room. Surgical lights, monitors, a metal table in the center, and on that table a boy. Tommy, 7 years old. Red hair, unconscious. A surgical sheet draped over his small body. A man in scrubs stood over him, scalpel in hand. Victor Carter. He looked up when Stone entered. His face showed no fear, only annoyance. "You're too late. I've already started the incision. Stone raised his weapon. Step away from him. Shoot me, and the boy bleeds out. I'm the only one who can save him now. Stone's hand was steady, but his mind was racing. You're lying. Am I? Victor smiled. Look for yourself. Stone moved closer. He could see it now. A thin red line across Tommy's abdomen. Fresh. Still bleeding. I've cut through the first layer of tissue. In about 30 seconds, I'll reach the kidney. If I stop now, if I don't close this properly. Victor shrugged. Infection? Internal bleeding? He'll be dead within hours. Then close it. Why would I do that? This kidney is worth $50,000. The buyer is waiting. Stone's finger tightened on the trigger. Close the incision or I put a bullet in your head. And then what? You let this boy die. You came all this way, risked everything, and in the end you're the one who kills him. Victor laughed. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've harvested organs from over 200 children. Do you think you're the first person to point a gun at me? Do you think threats work on someone like me? Stone's mind raced. He needed Sarah. She could close the wound. She could save Tommy. But Sarah was back at the clubhouse, with Grace, with Danny. No. Danny. Danny was in the truck, quarter-mile away. But Danny had told him something. Something about the facility, about the staff. The nurses, Stone said. Where are they? Victor's smile flickered. What nurses? The 2 nurses who work here. Where are they? They left, hours ago, when they heard you were coming. You're lying. A voice from behind Stone. He's lying. Stone spun around. A woman stood in the doorway, middle-aged, terrified, wearing scrubs splattered with blood. I'm one of the nurses. I didn't know. When I took this job, they told me it was a research facility. They told me we were helping children. I didn't know until... Her voice broke. I didn't know. Can you close this incision? She looked at Tommy on the table, at the thin red line across his stomach. Yes, but I need... Do it, now. She moved toward the table. Victor stepped in front of her. You're not touching him. Stone's pistol pressed against Victor's temple. Move. Victor didn't move. You won't shoot me. You need me alive. I know things. Names, locations. The people I work for, they're everywhere. Politicians, judges, businessmen. You want to bring them down. You need me. Stone thought about Grace, about her ancient eyes, about the ovary they'd stolen from her, about the kidney they were going to take, and the liver, and everything else until there was nothing left. He thought about Danny. 18 months in hell, watching children disappear one by one. He thought about Emma, his daughter, 9 years old, fighting so hard to live, while monsters like this man profited from death. You're right, Stone said quietly. I do need you alive. Victor's smile returned. I knew you'd see reason. But I don't need you healthy. Stone's fist connected with Victor's jaw. The man crumpled to the floor. Close the incision, Stone told the nurse. Now. She rushed to the table. Her hands were shaking, but her movements were sure. Professional. I need supplies, sutures, antibiotics. Where? Cabinet, by the door. And Stone found what she needed and brought it to her. How long? 20 minutes. Maybe less. You have 10. She worked in silence. Stone stood guard, his weapon trained on Victor's unconscious form. His radio crackled. Stone, it's Hawk. We've got the kids from the basement, all 9. We're moving them to the vehicles now. Status. They're scared as hell but alive. Some of them can't walk. We're carrying them. Any resistance? 2 guards, neutralized. The rest must have fled when they heard the gunfire. Good, get them to safety. I'll meet you outside. What about Victor? Stone looked at the man on the floor, at the monster who had butchered children for 15 years. I've got him. The radio went silent. Done. Stone turned. The nurse was stepping back from the table. Tommy's incision was closed. Clean stitches. Professional work. He'll need antibiotics, observation, but he should survive. Thank you. She looked at him with haunted eyes. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. They told me we were helping children, running tests, medical research. I didn't know they were... She couldn't finish. How long have you worked here? 3 months. And you never saw anything, never suspected. I worked in the lab, drawing blood, running tests. They never let me in the basement. They never let me. Her voice cracked. I should have known. The children who came through here, their eyes, the way they looked at us. I should have known something was wrong. Stone holstered his weapon. You can help now. There are 9 children outside who need medical attention. Can you do that? She nodded. Then go. Help them. She ran. Stone crouched down next to Victor. The man was starting to stir. Wake up. Victor's eyes fluttered open. When he saw Stone's face, he tried to scramble backward. Stone grabbed him by the collar. You're going to tell me everything. Every name. Every location. Every person who ever bought a child or an organ from this place. Go to hell. I've been there. 3 years ago when I held my daughter while she died. Stone's voice was ice. Hell doesn't scare me anymore. He pulled Victor to his feet. Walk. They emerged from the building into chaos. The children were being loaded into vehicles, some of them crying, some of them silent, all of them broken in ways that would take years to heal. Tommy was carried out on a stretcher by 2 of the brothers. His eyes were open now, confused, scared. A little girl ran to him. Tommy, Tommy, wake up. I'm awake. Maria, is that you? We're going home, Tommy. The men, they're taking us home. Stone watched them. These children who had been inventory, products, commodities to be harvested and sold. Now they were just kids again, scared, traumatized, but alive. Sirens in the distance. Stone, Hawk's voice. We've got company. Multiple vehicles approaching from the east. FBI. No. Sheriff's Department. Carter must have called it in. Stone's jaw tightened. How many? I count 4 cruisers. Maybe more behind them. Get the kids out of here. Take them back to the clubhouse. Sarah will know what to do. What about you? I'll handle Carter. Stone, go now. The vehicles peeled away, carrying the children to safety. Stone stood alone in front of the facility, Victor Carter in his grip. The sheriff's cruisers skidded to a stop 50 yards away. Deputies piled out weapons drawn. Thomas Carter stepped from the lead vehicle. Let him go, Stone. Not happening. That's my brother you've got there. Your brother is a butcher. He's been harvesting organs from children for 15 years, and you've been protecting him the whole time. Carter's face darkened. You don't know what you're talking about. I know everything. The shell companies, the congressman's money, the buyers from overseas. I know it all. Then you know you're a dead man. Maybe, but your brother's coming with me. Carter raised his weapon. Last chance, let him go. Stone pressed his pistol against Victor's temple. You shoot me, I pull this trigger. Your brother dies. You won't do it. You're not a killer. 3 hours ago, I watched your people prep a 7-year-old boy for kidney extraction. I watched them strap him to a table and cut him open." Stone's voice was deadly calm. "Try me." The standoff stretched. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Then a new sound cut through the tension. Helicopter rotors. Everyone looked up. 3 helicopters descended from the night sky. FBI markings on the sides. Carter's face went white. "No, that's not possible. I have people. Your people are gone." Stone smiled. "Shadow contacted the FBI 4 hours ago. They've been monitoring this facility since sunset. They saw everything. The children, the surgery room, the organs." FBI agents rappelled from the helicopter's weapons drawn. "Everyone on the ground hands where we can see them." Carter's deputies looked at each other. One by one they dropped their weapons. Carter himself stood frozen, staring at Stone, staring at his brother. "This isn't over." "Yeah, it is." FBI agents swarmed the scene. Carter was tackled to the ground. Victor was wrenched from Stone's grip and thrown into handcuffs. An agent approached Stone. "You must be the one who called this in." "My guy did. Shadow. We'll need a statement, from you and your men." "You'll get it. But first the children. They need medical attention. We've got ambulances on the way. A trauma team from Phoenix. They'll be taken care of." Stone nodded. He watched the agents swarm the facility. Watched them bring out evidence. Boxes of files, medical records, financial documents. 15 years of horror finally exposed. A small hand tugged at his sleeve. He looked down. Tommy, standing there in a hospital gown, pale and trembling, but alive. "Are you the one who saved me?" Stone crouched down to the boy's level. "A lot of people saved you, buddy. A lot of people worked really hard to get you out of there." "The man with the knife. He said he was going to take something from me. Something I needed. He's never going to hurt you again. Or anyone else." Tommy's lip trembled. "I want my mom." "I know, buddy. We're going to find her. I promise." "Everyone says that. No one ever means it." Stone thought about Danny, about Grace, about children who had stopped believing in promises. "I mean it." He pulled out his phone. "Shadow, I need you to find this boy's family. His name is Tommy. 7 years old. Red hair. Probably taken from somewhere in the Southwest within the last 3 months. On it. Fast. He needs his mom." Stone looked at Tommy, at the hope fighting against disbelief in those young eyes. "She's coming, buddy. Your mom is coming." The ambulances arrived 20 minutes later. The children were loaded one by one. Medical personnel swarming over them, checking vitals, treating wounds, offering comfort to kids who had forgotten what comfort felt like. Stone stood apart, watching. Hawk found him there. "It's done. All 9 kids are safe. Victor and Carter are in federal custody. The FBI is tearing that facility apart. And the congressman, Shadow says arrest warrants are being issued. Pierce won't be able to run. Not from this." Stone nodded. "What now?" Hawk asked. Stone thought about Grace, about Danny, about the children he'd just rescued, and the ones who would never be found. Now we go home. And then... Stone looked at the facility one last time, at the building that had housed so much suffering for so long. "Then we make sure this never happens again." They rode back through the desert as the sun began to rise. Pink and gold light spilled across the horizon, painting the world in colors that felt too beautiful for what they'd been through. The clubhouse came into view, and standing at the gate, clutching her teddy bear, was Grace. The 6-year-old girl who had survived 2 years of hell. The little girl Stone had promised to protect. She saw him and started running. Stone barely had time to dismount before she crashed into him. "You came back," she sobbed. "You came back! You came back!" "I told you I would." "I know, but I was scared. I was so scared." He held her tight. This child who had become his purpose, his redemption. "Is it over?" she whispered. "Is it really over?" Stone looked at Danny, who had climbed out of Mac's truck and was watching with tears streaming down his face. He looked at Sarah, standing in the doorway of the clubhouse, her hand pressed against her heart. He looked at his brothers, his family. "Yeah, sweetheart," he said. "It's over." But even as he said the words, Stone knew they weren't entirely true. The facility was shut down. The Carters were in custody. The children were safe. But somewhere out there, Grace's parents were still searching. Danny's mother's grave was still unmarked. And the network that had enabled this horror was still operating. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The next 3 days were chaos. FBI agents came and went. Social workers flooded the clubhouse. Reporters camped outside the gate. Desperate for a story, Stone refused every interview. So did the brothers. They hadn't done this for recognition. They'd done it because it was right. The 9 children from the facility were processed, examined, and slowly matched with families who had been searching for them. Some reunions happened quickly. Others took longer. A few children had no one left to claim them. Tommy's mother arrived on the 2nd day. Stone was in his office when Sarah knocked on the door. "There's a woman at the gate. Says her name is Linda Martinez. Says her son was taken from a playground in Albuquerque 4 months ago." Stone stood up. "Tommy's mother? I think so." They walked to the gate together. A woman stood on the other side. Late 30s, dark hair, eyes that looked like they hadn't slept in months. "Mrs. Martinez." "Where is he?" Her voice cracked. "Where's my son? He's inside. He's safe." "I need to see him. Please, I need to—" Stone opened the gate. "Follow me." Tommy was in the common room with Danny and Grace. The 3 of them had become inseparable since the rescue, bound together by something no one else could understand. When Tommy saw his mother in the doorway, his face went blank. For a terrible moment, Stone thought he didn't recognize her. Then Tommy whispered a single word. "Mommy." Linda fell to her knees. "Baby. Oh, my baby. Oh, God. Oh, God." Tommy ran to her. She caught him in her arms and held on like she would never let go. "I'm sorry," Tommy sobbed. "I'm sorry I went to the playground. I'm sorry I talked to the man. I'm sorry. No, 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 no. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing." She looked up at Stone, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. Thank you. I don't know how to— I can never— You don't have to thank me. They told me he was dead. The police. They said after 4 months I should prepare myself. They said I should start saying goodbye." Her voice broke. "I never said goodbye. I never stopped looking." Stone thought about his own daughter, about the goodbye he'd been forced to say 3 years ago. You got him back. That's all that matters now. The other reunions were harder. Some parents had moved, some had divorced, some had simply given up. But Shadow tracked them down one by one, verified identities, made contact. Within a week, 7 of the 9 children were back with their families. The remaining 2 had nowhere to go. Their parents were dead. Their relatives couldn't be found. Stone looked at their files and made a decision. They stay here, until we find them proper homes. Sarah looked at him. "Stone, this isn't a foster facility." I know what it is. And I know what those kids need. Right now they need safety. They need stability. They need people who understand what they've been through. And after, we'll figure it out. On the fourth day, Shadow called with news. Victor Carter's talking. Stone sat up straight. What's he saying? Everything. Names, locations, bank accounts. He's trying to cut a deal. Life in prison instead of death row. Is the FBI going to give it to him? They're considering it. He knows too much. He can bring down the whole network. Stone felt his hands curl into fists. How many people? 17 arrests so far, including Congressman Pierce. He was picked up this morning at his home in Virginia. The congressman? Yeah. Turns out his grandson did need a kidney, but not because of any medical condition, because Pierce wanted to sell the kid's original kidney on the black market and replace it with a cleaner one from the facility. Stone's stomach turned. He was going to harvest his own grandson. No, he was going to give his grandson a harvested kidney and sell the original. Double profit. The man's a monster. They're all monsters. There's more. What? Shadow paused. I found something about Danny's mother. Stone went very still. Tell me. Her name was Maria Santos. She didn't abandon him, not the way he thought. What do you mean? After Danny was taken, she went to the police, filed missing persons reports, hired private investigators she couldn't afford. She spent 18 months looking for him. Stone closed his eyes. And then, cancer, diagnosed 6 months after Danny disappeared. She fought it while she searched. Worked 3 jobs to pay for treatment and investigators at the same time. She died looking for him. Yeah, 8 months ago. But Stone, there's something else. What? She left something behind, for Danny, in case he was ever found. What did she leave? A letter. It was in her personal effects at the hospital. They didn't know how to reach him. They didn't know he was still alive. Stone thought about Danny. About the boy who'd carried that guilt for 18 months. The guilt of believing his mother had abandoned him. I need that letter. Already on its way. Should arrive tomorrow. Shadow. Yeah, thank you. Don't thank me yet. There's one more thing. What? I found Grace's parents. Stone's heart stopped. Where? California. Michael and Teresa Reyes. They've been searching for her for 2 years. They started a foundation. They've been on the news. They never stopped. Do they know she's alive? Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. Stone looked through the window. Grace was in the common room playing cards with Danny. She was laughing. Actually laughing. Get me a phone number. The call was the hardest thing Stone had ever done. Harder than combat, harder than burying his daughter, harder than anything he'd faced in 55 years. He sat in his office alone, staring at the phone number Shadow had provided. 10 digits that would change everything. He dialed. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Hello? A woman's voice. Tired, hopeful. The voice of a mother who'd answered 1,000 calls praying this would be the one. Mrs. Reyes? Yes. Who is this? My name is Stone. I'm in Arizona. I need to tell you something about your daughter. Silence. Grace? Yes, ma'am. Grace? Is she? The woman couldn't finish the sentence. 2 years of wondering. 2 years of not knowing. She's alive. She's safe. She's with me. The sound Teresa Reyes made was not human. It was the sound of a mother's heart shattering and rebuilding in the same instant. Oh God, oh God, oh God. She was crying now. Michael, come here. It's Grace. She's alive. A man's voice in the background. Footsteps. Then a new voice on the line. This is Michael Reyes. Is this real? Please tell me this is real. It's real, sir. Your daughter is alive. She's been through a lot, but she's safe now. Where is she? Can we see her? Can we... I need to tell you some things first. Stone explained everything. The facility, the years of abuse, the trauma, the silence. When he finished, there was quiet on the other end. Then Michael spoke. When can we see her? You can come tomorrow, but you need to understand she may not remember you. She was 4 when she was taken. She's 6 now. 2 years is a long time for a child. I don't care, Teresa's voice, fierce through her tears. I don't care if she doesn't remember us. She's our daughter. We never gave up. We never stopped believing. There's something else. Anything. Grace has bonded with a boy here. His name is Danny. He's 8 years old. He protected her for 18 months. He risked his life to save her. She sees him as her brother. We'll welcome him too. It's more complicated than that. If you take Grace home, Danny has nowhere to go. He has no family. The line went quiet. Then Teresa said something that made Stone's eyes sting. Then he comes with us. Both of them. They're a package deal. You don't even know him. I know he saved my daughter. I know he protected her when we couldn't. That makes him family. Stone had to clear his throat before he could speak. You're good people. We're desperate people. There's a difference. Michael paused. We'll be there tomorrow, early. Is there anything we should bring? She likes dragons, books about dragons, and she has a teddy bear she won't let go of. Understood. One more thing. When you see her, let her come to you. Don't rush her. Don't overwhelm her. Let her decide how close she wants to get. We will. We promise. Stone hung up. Tomorrow. Everything would change tomorrow. He just hoped it would change for the better. That night, Stone found Danny in his usual spot by the window, watching, waiting, unable to let his guard down. Can't sleep. Danny shrugged. I need to tell you something. About the rescue, about your mother. Danny's whole body went rigid. What about her? Stone sat down across from him. She didn't abandon you, Danny. Not the way you thought. You don't know what you're talking about. She was an addict, I know that. But after you were taken, she got clean. She checked herself into rehab 2 weeks after you disappeared. Danny's face was pale. That's not she didn't. She spent 6 months fighting her demons. And when she got out, she went looking for you. She never stopped. But the guards said, the guards lied. They wanted you to believe no one was coming. They wanted you to give up hope. Danny's hands were trembling. Where is she now? Stone's voice softened. She died, Danny. 8 months ago, cancer. The silence that followed was devastating. She died, thinking I was gone. No, she saw the news coverage, the raid on the facility, the children being rescued. Stone reached out and put his hand on the boy's shoulder. She knew you were alive. She knew you were safe. Tears streamed down Danny's face. All that time I hated her. I thought she didn't care. I thought she just... His voice broke completely. She never stopped caring, not for 1 second. Did she left you something. A letter. It's coming tomorrow. Danny looked at him. A letter? She wrote it for you, in case you were ever found. Danny broke down completely, not sobbing, just silent tears that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than his lungs. Stone didn't say anything. He just sat there with the boy, letting him grieve, letting him process. Finally, Danny spoke. Grace's parents. Are they coming too? Tomorrow. They want to take her home. Good. That's good. Danny wiped his eyes. She deserves a family. So do you. Danny shook his head. I don't have anyone left. Grace's parents, they want to take you too. Danny's head snapped up. What? They said you're a package deal, both of you, or neither. They don't even know me. They know what you did. They know you saved their daughter. They know you protected her when no one else would. Danny stared at him. Why would they do that? Why would anyone? Because some people are good, Danny. Some people see a child who needs help and they don't ask questions. They just help. But I'm not. I'm not like Grace. I'm not easy. I have nightmares. I wake up screaming. I can't. They know. They don't care. Danny was quiet for a long time. I'd have a family. Yeah, buddy, you'd have a family. And Grace would be my sister for real. For real. Something shifted in Danny's face. The armor he'd built up over 18 months cracked, just for a moment. And Stone saw the child underneath. Not a survivor. Not a protector. Just a scared, exhausted kid who wanted to be loved. Can I? Danny's voice was barely audible. Can I see the letter? When it comes? Of course. Will you read it with me? Stone's throat tightened. I'd be honored. The Reyes family arrived at 9 the next morning. Stone saw them through the window, a man and a woman stepping out of a rental car holding hands so tightly their knuckles were white. He went to meet them at the gate. Michael Reyes was tall, dark hair going gray at the temples, eyes that looked like they hadn't slept in 2 years. Teresa was smaller, with the same brown hair. Grace had the same shape of eyes. Mr. Stone. Just Stone. Come inside. She's waiting. He led them through the clubhouse, past the brothers who had gathered silent and respectful, past the other children who watched with knowing eyes, to the common room where Grace stood with Danny by her side. Teresa stopped in the doorway. Her hand flew to her mouth. Grace. The word was barely a whisper. Grace stared at the woman, at the man beside her, searching their faces for something familiar, and then very slowly, a light came on in her eyes. Mama? The word was uncertain, questioning. Teresa crossed the room in 3 steps and dropped to her knees. Yes, baby. It's Mama. I'm here. I'm finally here. Grace's lip trembled. I'm sorry I forgot you. Oh, sweetheart, no. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. I tried to remember. I tried so hard. Shh. It's okay. We're going to make new memories. So many new memories. Grace reached out and touched her mother's cheek. Teresa sobbed and pulled her daughter into her arms. Michael knelt beside them, wrapping them both up, and the 3 of them held each other and cried. Danny stood off to the side, watching. His face was a mask, but Stone could see the emotions underneath. Joy for Grace, fear for himself. Hope and despair mixed together. Teresa looked up. Her eyes found Danny. You're Danny. He nodded, unable to speak. She held out her hand. Come here. He hesitated. Please, come here. Slowly, Danny walked toward them. Teresa took his hand. Thank you. Thank you for protecting my daughter. Thank you for loving her when we couldn't. Thank you for being her brother. Danny's mask cracked. She protected me too. When things got really bad, she would hold my hand. She kept me alive as much as I kept her alive. Teresa pulled him into the embrace. 4 people now. A family being born from the ashes of tragedy. Stone watched from the doorway. Sarah appeared beside him. That's beautiful. Yeah. You did that. You made that happen. We all did. No. She looked at him. You. 3 days ago, those children were in cages. That boy was alone. That family was broken. Now look at them. Stone shook his head. I just opened a door. They walked through it themselves. You always do that. Downplay what you've done. Maybe I don't deserve credit. Maybe you're an idiot. Despite everything, Stone almost smiled. The letter from Danny's mother arrived that afternoon. Stone found Danny in his room, staring out the window again. It's here. Danny turned. His face was pale. I can't read it. You don't have to. Not today. Not until you're ready. No, I mean, Danny's voice cracked. I can't read it alone. Stone sat down beside him. Then we'll read it together. He handed Danny the envelope. Old, worn, addressed in shaky handwriting. To my son Danny. Wherever you are. Danny stared at it for a long moment. Then he opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper covered in handwriting that started strong and got weaker toward the end. Danny began to read out loud. My beautiful boy. If you're reading this, then someone found you. Someone brought you home. I always knew they would. I always knew you were alive. His voice broke. Stone took the letter. I'll read it. You listen. He continued. I want you to know that I never stopped looking. Not for 1 day. Not for 1 hour. From the moment you disappeared, finding you became my reason for living. I made mistakes, Danny. So many mistakes. The drugs, the bad choices, the years I wasted being someone I wasn't. But losing you, that changed everything. I got clean because I needed to find you. I needed to be the mother you deserved. I needed you to know that I loved you, that I always loved you, even when I was too broken to show it. Danny was crying now, silent tears streaming down his face. Stone continued. I'm sick now, baby. The doctors say I don't have much time, but I'm not scared. Because I know somewhere deep in my heart that you're alive, that you're fighting, that you're going to come home. And even if I'm not there to see it, I'll be watching. I'll be with you, always. Be brave, my beautiful boy. Be strong, and know that your mother loved you more than life itself. Forever and always. Mom. Stone folded the letter. Danny didn't move, didn't speak. Then he reached out and took the letter back, held it against his chest. She was looking for me. Yeah, buddy, she was. She never gave up. Never. Danny looked at him. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. I'm going to do something with my life, something that matters, something that would make her proud. You already have. I mean more, He struggled for words. I want to help kids like me, kids who are lost, kids who think no one's coming for them. Stone put his hand on the boy's shoulder. Then that's what you'll do. Promise, promise. That evening, the Reyes family prepared to leave. Grace's bags were packed. Danny's few belongings were gathered. The social workers had completed their paperwork. Everything was ready. But Stone could see Grace standing at the window looking out at the clubhouse that had become her sanctuary. You okay, sweetheart? She turned. Her teddy bear was clutched against her chest. I don't want to say goodbye. Then don't. Say see you later instead. Really? Really? Your parents already agreed. Once a month you come back here. Visit the club. Check on the other kids. Keep us old bikers in line. A smile broke through her tears. I'd like that. Me too. She ran to him and threw her arms around his waist. Thank you, Grandpa Stone. The words hit him like a physical blow. Grandpa. No one had ever called him that. No one ever would have if things had gone differently. I love you too, sweetheart. Danny was next. The handshake turned into a hug without either of them planning it. "Thank you," Danny said, "for believing me, for fighting for us. Thank you for being brave enough to knock on my door. I almost didn't. But you did. That's what matters." Danny pulled back. His eyes were wet. "I'm going to come back here someday. When I'm older. I'm going to help you. Help the other kids." "The door's always open?" The Reyes family loaded into their car. Grace in the back with Danny, Michael and Teresa in the front. Teresa rolled down her window. "We'll call when we get home." "You better." The engine started. The car began to move. Grace pressed her face to the window and waved. She kept waving until the car turned the corner and disappeared from view. Stone stood at the gate, watching them go. Sarah appeared beside him. "You okay?" "Yeah, I think so. The house is going to feel empty without them." "It won't be empty for long." Sarah looked at him. "What do you mean? There are more kids out there. More families who need help. More work to do." "You're talking about expanding. I'm talking about building something that lasts, something that makes sure no child ever has to go through what Grace and Danny went through." Sarah was quiet for a moment. "A program, a foundation, a network, whatever it takes." "That's a big goal." "Yeah, but it's the right one." Sarah reached out and took his hand. He didn't pull away. "I'm glad I answered your call that first night," she said. "I'm glad you came back. I never really left." They stood there together watching the sun set over the desert. A new chapter was beginning, and Stone was finally ready to write it. 1 year passed. 365 days of building something from nothing. Of phone calls at midnight. Of children arriving scared and leaving hopeful. Of a motorcycle club transforming into something no one had ever imagined. The Guardian Foundation had become real. What started as a desperate promise in the aftermath of tragedy had grown into a network spanning 3 states. Safe houses, vetted foster families, legal aid, therapy services. Everything a child needed to rebuild a life that had been shattered. Stone stood in his office looking at the wall covered in photographs. Children who had passed through their doors, families who had been reunited, faces that haunted him, faces that inspired him. 153 children in the first year. 153 lives changed. It still wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was a start. Hawk knocked on the doorframe. "You've got a visitor." "Who?" "See for yourself." Stone walked to the front of the clubhouse and stopped. Danny stood at the gate. He was taller now, 9 years old, but carrying himself like someone much older. The haunted look in his eyes had faded, replaced by something steadier, stronger. "Hey, old man." Stone felt a grin spread across his face. "Who are you calling old?" They met in the middle. The handshake turned into a hug. "You look good," Stone said. "California treating you well." "Better than I expected. The Reyes family." Danny shook his head. "They're incredible. They treat me like I've always been theirs." "That's because you have. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. You taught me that." "No, you taught me." They walked inside together. The clubhouse had changed in the past year. Half the space had been converted into offices, a reception area, a playroom for children waiting to be placed. Danny took it all in. "You've been busy. The work never stops. How many kids this year? 153 placed with families, connected with services, given a chance." Danny let out a low whistle. That's more than I thought possible. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's a start. Sarah appeared from the back office. When she saw Danny, her face lit up. Look at you. She pulled him into a fierce hug. You're so tall. Are you eating? You look thin. Sarah, I'm fine. Teresa's cooking is amazing. You look healthy, happy. She held him at arm's length. Are you happy? Yeah. Danny's voice softened. I am. Good. That's all I needed to hear. The back door burst open. Mac came through grinning. Is that who I think it is? Hey, Mac. Get over here, kid. More hugs, more laughter. The brothers filtered in one by one, each greeting Danny like a son returning home. Because that's what he was. When the reunion settled, Stone pulled Danny aside. This isn't just a social visit, is it? No. Danny's expression grew serious. I need to talk to you about something. Let's go to my office. They sat across from each other, the same way they had a year ago when Danny was a scared, battered kid who had just carried his little sister out of hell. I'm graduating early, Danny said. The Reyes family hired tutors, accelerated coursework. I'll have my high school equivalency in 2 years. That's impressive. What's next? College, eventually. But first, Danny leaned forward. I want to come back here. Work with the Guardian Foundation full-time. Stone studied the boy's face. That's a big commitment. I know. The work is hard, emotionally draining. You see things that stay with you forever. I've already seen things that stay with me forever. At least this way I can make sure other kids don't have to. What do Michael and Teresa say? They support it. They want me to be happy. And this? Stone gestured around them. This is where you feel like you can make a difference. This is where I know I can make a difference. Stone was quiet for a long moment. There's something you should know first. What? Shadow found something last month. Information about your birth father. Danny went very still. My father? You never knew him. Your mother said he left before you were born. That's what she told me. She was protecting you. Stone's voice was gentle. Your father didn't leave. He was arrested. Drug charges. He's been in prison for the past 10 years. Danny's face was unreadable. Is he still alive? Yes. He's up for parole next month. Does he know about me? He does now. Shadow contacted him. He wants to meet you. Danny stood up abruptly, walked to the window. I spent my whole life thinking he abandoned me, that he didn't care. I know. And now you're telling me he was in prison, that he didn't have a choice. I'm telling you that you have options. You can meet him or not. That's entirely up to you. Danny pressed his forehead against the glass. What would you do? Stone thought about Emma, about all the things he wished he could say to her, all the conversations they would never have. I'd meet him, even if it was hard, even if it hurt. Because not knowing that's worse. Danny was quiet for a long time. Okay, I'll meet him, but not yet, not until I'm ready. That's fair. Danny turned around. Something had shifted in his face. I'm still coming back to work with the foundation. That hasn't changed. I didn't think it would. And Stone, yeah. Thank you for telling me the truth. For always telling me the truth. That's what family does. The sound of a car pulling up broke the moment. Stone looked out the window and felt his heart skip. A familiar SUV, a familiar family stepping out. Grace. She'd grown in the past year, taller, healthier. Her hair was longer braided with ribbons, but her eyes were the same. Those ancient eyes that had seen too much, now touched with something new. Joy. She spotted Danny through the window, and her face lit up. She took off running. Danny was out the door in an instant. They collided in the parking lot, spinning in circles, laughing. "You're here!" Grace squealed. "Mom and Dad said you might be here, but I wasn't sure. I missed you, Gracie." "I missed you too, but we video chat every day. It's not the same. You can't hug someone through a screen." Michael and Teresa approached, smiling. "Stone." Teresa pulled him into a hug. "Thank you for having us." "You're always welcome. You know that." They went inside, the clubhouse filled with noise and laughter and chaos. Children who had been part of the foundation over the past year came to meet Grace, recognizing her from the stories, from the photographs, from the legend that had grown around the girl who survived. Stone watched from the sidelines. Sarah found him there. "They look happy." "They are happy." "So are you." Stone hadn't realized he was smiling. "Maybe I have a reason to now." Sarah took his hand. "The federal funding came through this morning." "What?" "The grant, for expanding the foundation. It was approved. Full allocation. 5-year renewable." Stone stared at her. "You're serious?" "Completely serious. We can expand to 5 more states, hire full-time staff, build something permanent." Stone felt something swell in his chest, something he'd almost forgotten how to feel. Hope. "We did it." "You did it." "No, we did it. All of us." Sarah squeezed his hand. "There's something else." "What?" "I want to make this official. Us. The foundation. Everything." Stone turned to look at her. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I never stopped loving you. Even when I left. Even when I thought I hated you. I never stopped." "Sarah, let me finish. You were broken when Emma died. We both were. But watching you this past year, watching you fight for these kids, watching you become the man I always knew you could be." Her eyes glistened. "I want to be part of that. Permanently." Stone couldn't speak. Is that a proposal?" "I guess it is." "You're proposing to me in a motorcycle clubhouse surrounded by bikers and children. Is there anywhere better?" Stone thought about it. "No, there really isn't." He kissed her. Right there. In front of everyone. The brothers cheered, the children giggled, Grace and Danny whooped and hollered. When they finally broke apart, Sarah was crying and laughing at the same time. "Is that a yes?" "That's a yes." The celebration lasted all afternoon. But as evening approached, Stone found himself alone on the porch watching the sunset. Grace appeared beside him, her teddy bear still clutched against her chest after all this time. "Grandpa Stone." "Yeah, sweetheart. Are you happy?" He thought about the question, really thought about it. "Yeah, I think I finally am." "Good." She climbed up onto the bench beside him. "I'm happy too, for the first time since I can remember. That's all I ever wanted for you." "I know." She was quiet for a moment. "I had a dream last night." "What kind of dream?" "About your daughter, Emma." Stone's breath caught. "What about her?" "She was smiling. She told me to tell you something." "What did she say?" Grace looked up at him with those ancient eyes. "She said she's proud of you. She said you found your purpose. And she said..." Grace paused. "She said thank you for not giving up." Stone couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. "I think she sent me to you," Grace whispered. "I think she knew you needed someone to save. And I needed someone to save me." Tears streamed down Stone's face. "Maybe she did. Do you think she's watching right now?" Stone looked up at the sky, at the stars beginning to appear, at the same universe that had taken his daughter and given him a second chance. "Yes, sweetheart. I think she's watching." Grace leaned against his shoulder. "I love you, Grandpa Stone." "I love you too, Grace. More than you'll ever know." They sat there in silence, watching the last light fade from the sky. That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, Stone sat in his office one final time. He looked at the photograph in his locket. Emma's face, frozen forever in childhood. "I did it, sweetheart," he whispered. "I built something. Something that matters. Something that's going to help kids like you deserved to be helped." He closed the locket. "I'll keep going. Every day. For as long as I have breath in my body. Because that's what you would have wanted. That's what you taught me." A knock at the door shattered the silence. Stone checked the clock. 3:12 a.m. The same time Danny and Grace had shown up exactly 1 year ago. He walked to the front door, opened it. A girl stood on the threshold. 11 years old. Bruises on her arms. Terror in her eyes. Behind her, clutching her hand, was a younger boy, maybe 7. Same look, same fear, same desperate hope. The girl looked up at Stone. "Please," her voice was barely a whisper. "They told us you help people. They told us you save kids like us." Stone looked at these children, at the cycle beginning again, at the work that never ended. He opened the door wider. "Come inside. You're safe now." They stepped through the threshold. And somewhere watching over them all, Emma smiled. The hellsangels hadn't set out to be heroes. They were just people who saw someone in need and chose to act. Sometimes that's all it takes to change the world. One knock at midnight, one open door, one promise kept. The Guardian Foundation proved that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who fights for you, who refuses to give up. And in the Arizona desert, at a motorcycle clubhouse that became a sanctuary, the fight continued. Because some doors once opened can never be closed. Some promises once made must never be broken. And some children once saved become the saviors of others. That's what Stone learned in the year since Danny and Grace knocked on his door. That grief can become purpose. That loss can become love. That the end of one story is always the beginning of another. Danny would return in 2 years just as he promised. He would work alongside Stone, helping children who had lost hope find it again. Grace would grow up strong and fierce, her ancient eyes softening with each passing year, her teddy bear eventually passed down to another scared little girl who needed something to hold on to. The Reyes family would expand, taking in more children, building a legacy of love that would span generations. And Stone, the man who had lost everything and found it again in the most unexpected way, would spend the rest of his life doing what he was born to do. Protecting the innocent. Fighting for the voiceless. Opening doors for children who had nowhere else to go. The foundation grew. 5 states, then 10, then 20. Thousands of children saved. Countless families reunited. But for Stone, it always came back to that first night. That desperate knock at 3:12 a.m. That 8-year-old boy carrying a 6-year-old girl. That broken voice crying out in the darkness. "Please, don't let her die." He hadn't let her die. He'd given her a life. And in doing so, he'd found his own. That's the power of one moment. One choice. One act of courage. It ripples outward, touching lives you'll never know, changing futures you'll never see. Stone understood that now. Emma had taught him that love doesn't end with death. Danny had taught him that hope survives even in the darkest places. Grace had taught him that healing is possible no matter how deep the wounds. And Sarah had taught him that second chances are real if you're brave enough to take them. The Arizona sun rose over the clubhouse the next morning, painting the world in shades of gold and pink. Stone stood at the gate, watching the new children, the girl and her brother eating breakfast inside, surrounded by people who would protect them no matter what. Sarah appeared beside him. Another sleepless night. The best kind. She took his hand. Ready for another year. Stone looked at the clubhouse, at the foundation they'd built, at the family they'd become. Ready for a lifetime. Because that's what this was now. Not a mission, not an obligation, not a way to outrun grief. A calling, a purpose, a reason to wake up every morning and fight. The hellsangels had become guardians. The broken had become healers. And a man who thought he'd lost everything discovered that the greatest gift isn't what you keep. It's what you give away. Stone squeezed Sarah's hand and walked back inside. There were children to save, families to reunite, hope to restore. And he wouldn't stop until every single child who needed saving found their way home. That was his promise. That was his legacy. That was his life.